I think it's high time to start the afternoon sessions. I understand that some of the participants are stuck in the buffet, some of them. Exactly, so here's creme de creme. So I would like to warmly welcome you on the EIT health session that we have today, and I have the pleasure to moderate. My name is Monika Ślęzak, and I am the coordinator of the Industry Contact Point Medical Technologies and Health that is located in Wrocław. And the topic of today's discussion is From Vision to Action, Transforming Healthcare Through Collaborative Innovations. And I have a great pleasure to welcome my guests that agreed to have the discussion on the topic with me. And we will start with Ferenc Bogracz, who is the EIT InnoStar's Managing Director. He has an extended international management experience in business leadership, including managing director and business line leader at one of the IBM subsidiaries in Hungary, and business development executive role in the Central Eastern Europe. He was also the Chief Innovator Officer at Tungstram Group, a spin-off of General Motors. And of course, during your career, you had also the opportunity to be involved in many healthcare-related projects. For example, the first implementation of IBM Watson for oncology or NI-based expert systems in the Central Eastern Europe. So I will give the floor at the beginning to Ferenc to give the short introduction about the EIT Health, and then I will invite my speakers and panelists to continue our discussion later on. So please, Ferenc, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. And okay. So actually, we have a relatively small but important group here, and some of you are very familiar with EIT Health, but maybe some of you are interested in. So let me give you a short introduction. What do we do, or certain things that what we do, and after that, I guess we're going to have a very, very interesting discussion. Exactly. I hope I look okay now. Okay. Okay, now it works. Okay, fantastic. So a couple of words about EIT Health. So I don't know if anybody heard about EIT. Hands up who heard anything about EIT. Okay, so thank you. So EIT is abbreviation of European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So kind of, the history is that I think EIT was funded somewhere in 2008, and it was a response, one of the responses of European Union, of the need of, let's say, improving the innovation performance. So you might know this word or this concept that Europe believes that we are, as European, pretty good in research. I hope this is true, but not so good in innovation. Innovation meaning turning results, scientific results, research results, research and development results into real life applications. And there are multiple programs that the European Union has implemented in order to improve that area. This is not the time to discuss if it was successful or not, but definitely many actions has been happening on this topic. And one of the topics was to create the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and quite interesting, and in my opinion, of course, a successful concept of creating the so-called knowledge innovation communities, which means that certain consortiums that include representatives of certain industries like universities, research institutes, corporates, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and so on, creating consortiums that are working together. And these consortiums are creating associations or clusters, and these associations are supported by the European Union financially. And there are multiple so-called knowledge innovation communities created, and one of them is EIT Health, which is dealing with healthcare innovation. And basically there are three objectives, three major areas which we are aiming or focusing on. First is better health for European citizens, so any type of innovations that is yielding into better health or longer healthy lifespan. The second area is improving the sustainability of the healthcare system. So everybody knows that healthcare system is something that is very expensive. New treatments are coming, new diagnostic methods are coming that are very expensive. The population is getting older, so actually there is less people who are working, paying tax, and more people, thanks God, we are happy about it, who are living longer, you know, and receiving medical services. So actually the balance is creating a challenge. So there is a need for innovation in terms of efficiency of the healthcare system. So that's another area. And the third area is to create successful, competitive healthcare industry within European Union. So to have companies in different areas like medtech, pharma, biotech, or digital enterprises in healthcare that are successful in the market as well. So this is basically the aim, and there are multiple players who are collaborating in this area. And EIT Health is actually covering whole Europe. So you can see that there are multiple locations where we have a presence. And there is a special unit, this is called EIT Health InnoStars, that is covering the eastern and the south part of Europe. So we have a special unit that is headquartered in Hungary that is covering basically a big part of Europe that is marked with this pink colors. So we have presence all in these countries, including Poland as one of the major countries in this region. And this specific unit EIT has InnoStars, where I'm working as well, is, as I mentioned, headquartered in Budapest and has some special programs. So we have a specific program that is helping to support the countries in this area, and there's a specific budget that is allocated for programs to close the so-called innovation gap. So basically to help innovators in our territory to be more visible in the European screen. And I would say that usually it's pretty difficult to get into the existing networks of the incumbent players. If you talk about, for instance, the Horizon Europe money, very big portion of the money is actually allocated to players in Western Europe. And the ones who are in, we very often call them old boys network, usually keep together and work together. And I would say if I want to summarize what is our objective here, is to help us to come into this old boys network and show that we are in this territory are also capable to do many things, and connect, let's say, the incumbent players with the ones who have the innovation and the ability and the capability for innovation, and help to progress in these areas. One of my friends who is an owner of a biotech company said that it is very difficult to make business from the street. So you have to be in the club, you have to be visible, and then it's much easier. And one of the ways that rising innovators can, let's say, be more visible is joining EIT Health InnoStars, and we believe that we can accelerate that process. And it was very, very nice to see all the innovations today here in Zabrze as well. And I hope that we can help for those innovators who are here in Zabrze and everywhere in Poland to be more visible and more successful as well. And here are some figures. So we are doing multiple programs. And one of the programs that we are doing, but there are many other programs, is to support startups in the healthcare area. And very quickly, I would like to talk about a study that we have made. And I have a printed version of this study. And here is the point that I have a very nice colleague, Madeleine, sitting over there. So if anybody is interested in the printed version of this study, then please raise your hand and you will get it. And this is the point. So I think if we cannot deliver these studies right now, then it will be very difficult. So please raise your hand. We have still more. And you can see the results. So actually, there are multiple results there, but we could say that those startups who we have been supporting or were participating in our programs in the last, let's say, 5 years, has collected more than 500 million euro, it's nice to say more than €500 million of investment. We have more than 300 startups supported, and they support, or they employ more than 2,400 people. I have to add that this is excluding one of the unicorns, or one unicorn that is also supported by EIT Health. It is called Sword Health in Portugal, and their market value is alone 1.6 billion euro. So if I add them, then the numbers would have been much higher. They employ more than 1,000 people alone. But as a statistical analysis, we took them out from the report because otherwise there would be one big column next to Portugal and very small numbers in the other countries, so we couldn't have make an analysis. But we are very proud that actually there is a unicorn that came out from this territory, and I hope that the next one is coming from Poland. And just a couple of words about. Also, you can see that we are also helping, and this is also a major activity for innovators to access European Union grants. And one of the special grants is the so-called EIC grant. I don't want to go to it's European Innovation Council, go to the details, but you can see big numbers there. And another activity beyond supporting startups is we are helping to organize consortiums for applying EU money. And as you know, for EU money, usually you have to have an international consortium. And I mentioned, most of the EU money is coming for Western European players, simply because they know each other better, they're better organized, and we would like to help that we are getting very well organized as well, and we can put together consortiums efficiently as well, and we already have great results, as you can see. And a couple of words coming back to the study that I mentioned here, that we made a special study about how efficient our startup program is, and we made an analysis of 10 countries from South and Eastern Europe, and one benchmark country as a global best practice, which was Israel. And what we did is that we analyzed hard indicators like the ones that I show, how much investment they got, how many grants they received, how many people they employed, what percentage of the startups has a successful launch of a product into the market. So we made analysis of these hard indicators, and we also made an analysis of soft indicators, that how strong is the ecosystem, the community around us. So we did not analyze really the country's overall startup ecosystem, but we analyzed the ecosystem of EIT Health in the given communities. And what we try to see is if there is a correlation between the strength of the community and the tangible results. And we also made some country summaries, so you can see the results of Poland, for instance, in this study as well. Yes, but in the study you can see Poland as well. On the picture you can Israel and Portugal, but in the study you can see also Poland. So the ones who are lucky and has the printout can see the Polish results as well. And just answering the question, if there was a correlation, yes, there was, very strong one. So actually what we can see, and I think this is the main message, is that where our community is strong, then the results are strong as well. Regardless, more or less, the size of the country. So it was the most important factor, of the success of the startups and the ones who are participating in the programs is how strong the community is. So there was something like 97% correlation between the answers we received and the measurable results. So where people took let's say the effort to answer our questions, so it means that the community meant them something. Actually, the results were stronger as well. So that was very, very interesting. And that underlines that building community is actually not only about building community, but it is also about being more efficient and successful. And I would just finish here that this is what we are really doing, building communities and connecting the different players and giving the opportunity basically in South and East Europe to show up and show that we can also be important players and successful. And with that, thank you very much for the opportunity and looking forward to a very exciting discussion.
Thank you, Ferenc, and thank you for presenting some of the data from the report, because I would like to also make it as a starting point for our discussion with regard to the maturity of our ecosystem. And speaking of that, I would like to start the second part of the session, that would be panel discussion. And let me introduce two ladies that are connected with us online. So if you could unmute yourself. So with us we have Maria Cristina Nieto Garcia. She's the coordinator of one of the European partnerships, ERA for Health, on behalf of the Institute of Health Carlos III from Spain. But Maria Cristina is also the coordinator of ERANET co-found for personalized medicine, and she's actively involved in management and follow-up of other different programs and partnerships related to this international transnational collaboration research. So hello, Maria, good afternoon. And we have with us also Ines Matias from Portugal. Ines is a senior project innovation analyst at Medtronic, Portugal Innova. And she's a trained biologist, but I think that she now turned into innovative and entrepreneurship and ecosystem manager after several, I would say, positive twists, including EIT, if I'm correct. Ines, is it correct? And now I assume that you're working at Medtronic using this your natural ability to connect with and for people to have the good innovation. So good afternoon, Ines. I hope you can hear us. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Perfect.
We cannot hear very well. I would say that we hear 2-3 words and then we don't understand very well, but I think we'll do our best to imagine the rest of the sentence.
But I know what I can try.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the invitation. Unfortunately, we are not able to be on site, but thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it? No, it is not. Hello? Is it better now? Not really. Okay. Hello, hello.
No, it's worse. Sorry.
I tried my best. Okay, so let me introduce the rest of our panelists, and so then maybe I will switch off this one if you cannot hear as well. So was it better with this one, or no? Also not really.
Yes, now it's better.
Okay. I hope I will not swallow the microphone. So let me introduce our panelists. So please, I would like to welcome on the stage Professor Łukasz Bondała. He's from the Revolve Healthcare, co-founder, co-CEO, CEO. of the medical software house based in Katowice. So we have regional perspective from the business.
Not a professor, but thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Maybe in the future, indeed. So yes, and Łukasz is he has the degree in biomedical engineering, as well as automation and robotics from the Technical University of Science and Technology in Krakow. And in recent years, he dedicated his time in integrating this regulatory standards with cutting-edge management of software development. Of course, I should start with the Professor Marcin Kaczmarek, that's from the Faculty of Biomedical Engineering, Silesian University of Technology. Also the Deputy Director of European HealthTech Innovation Center, which is the host of today's event. And Professor with his extended experience in the biomaterials, implants, medical devices, and also being the author of more than 100 articles in this field. I hope that we will hear also the voice of the not only the university, but also the research institute in our discussions. And let me introduce Azim Calik from the GE Healthcare, who will be representing the perspective of the industrial partners in the collaboration for the scientific development of HealthTech. And we will also, of course, Professor Salik, he's from Turkey, and he has the graduation in the electrical engineering. And after leaving the Turkey, you moved to US, so you can also show this American perspective of the great innovators. I assume that this is also the part that we'll discuss today. And now Professor Calik is also responsible for the Central and Eastern Europe with regard to the magnetic resonance from the GE Healthcare and the scientific collaboration with the public institutions. I hope I didn't miss anyone, so I think that we can move now to the discussion. Do you have the microphones? Not at all. Okay, I think that it works. Perfect. We will have to share 2 microphones with us, because that's what we have. So if you don't mind, I would start with the status of the Polish ecosystem. Yes, that was already Ferenc showed that it's doing pretty well, and Poland is one of the leading countries among InnoStars. But I was wondering, what is your perspective? Maybe I should start from the business perspective. How does it look like in terms of how do you, I would say, estimate the Polish maturity of the innovation ecosystem here?
Well, now I will have to compare it with the report, and I have some thoughts regarding the state of advancement of the current situation in Poland, especially in terms of healthcare. So there are many polar elements, I think, advantages and disadvantages in Poland ecosystem, because from one side we have a great talent pool of people with enormous energy, and I believe everyone in Poland is eager to develop something, and I feel it and I hear it from every person I'm talking with. And from the other perspective, well, the funding is still a problem, especially in healthcare, because one of the biggest issues with the creating a startup in Poland is getting funding. So without money, it's impossible, and we still have a big problem with getting money for our ideas, and that's the other side. And the last thing, which I want to mention, because, well, possibly there is a lot of topics worth discussing, is the problem with thinking. Yeah, thank you. So comparing to no worries.
Some might disagree.
Okay, so our mindset is still underdevelopment of thinking as an business creators and integrating technology together with business. And I believe in Poland we have a problem with two ways of thinking. The first one is a scientific way, and it affects our universities and people who are becoming a scientist and who are becoming our future of our scientific crew. And the second way of thinking is business thinking, and people from business perspective are thinking rather in terms of money, not in terms of technology. And connecting these two elements is quite challenging in Poland. So many people who are trying to start a startup are thinking one way or another, and connecting this two is well, hard, and it requires time for developing a different mindset.
Professor Kaczmarek, do you agree with that? Because you have maybe other perspective, looking from the perspective of the university, connection also with the students. So would you agree with Łukasz?
Thank you very much. Yes, actually, my opinion is quite much the same to Łukasz's. Why? Because first of all, we got to remember that unfortunately we are facing the same problems, which is first of all lack of money. Okay, we've got the potential here, especially at the university. It's not a problem. It's not a problem to get the ideas, to reach the very enthusiastic young people with the new, brilliant ideas. However, it's very difficult to get funding for the ideas, and that is the problem. And actually, but of course, I do not want to say here to say that unfortunately we are suffering problems, and we cannot do anything here
something
about this.
Positive.
Yes, actually, that's the point, because I just wanted to say that here, for example, we are in the premises of European Health Innovation Center, and this center has been established just in order to create an appropriate ecosystem with the use of our use a little help from our friends from EIT and from other institutions as well. And we believe that we can see the potential here, the potential for development and creating the ecosystem just dedicated strictly to so demanding and challenging, as mentioned here, the market, in fact, of medical devices. So that's the point. Okay, I believe that the potential there is, but later on some I would say some challenging factors are needed to be postponed in time and in responsibilities, just in order to achieve its goal.
But then, if I understand you correctly, for sure we do have talented entrepreneurs in Poland. For sure, we have also the good network, because assume that also based on today's presentation, we saw a lot of collaboration between private and public institutions. We do have companies that are willing to enter the market, but do you feel there's also some obstacles or problems to get for the startups to the market? Because we understand funding is one part, but do you feel that we could also improve something in our ecosystem with regard to the regulatory aspects or the governmental bodies that could help us to really jump on the higher level to be closer to Israel, as this benchmark? This is the question to you, and I think also to others. Maybe you have some suggestions.
Oh yes, so I'll be just as brief as I can. Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I believe that the very challenging, apart from the money, the very challenging task is certification of medical devices, and let's say to go along with the requirements of competent authorities. So that's the point, and I believe that special attention should be put on that one, just in order to, let's say, seed the idea of regulatory framework, for startups, and later on just to develop it along the path for developing the device.
Łukasz, would you like to comment on that also from your perspective? Because you were
Yeah,
not dealing with
definitely.
the medical devices, but something else.
Well, we as a software development company, we are focusing on healthcare, and certification is one of the main issues right now, because software as a medical device is something which affects our entire industry, and in fact, I'm hardly trying not to come back to the money issue because it's almost impossible. Because if you want to certify a software, you need right now at least, a year of software development and, 2 years waiting for certification to finish, to go through the entire process. It's a lot of time, and you have to hire the entire crew for your company. You have to prepare and be ready for opening for the market, and yet you're still waiting for certification to finish. So getting this small CE mark, it takes, 3 times from the idea. So if you will multiply the number of the days by the rate of standard specialists, especially in the IT, where we know that software engineers get a lot of money, and at least in Poland. So if you multiply this by the number of the days,
FTEs, then
it will be a big bunch of money for doing this. And going through the entire process of certification is challenging. It requires quality. It requires attention to the details. A lot of documents that you must provide to the notified body to get this certification, right? So that's challenging, and that's the biggest obstacle, second to money, I believe, but highly connected with this.
Okay, but does it mean, maybe I'm wrong, and that's a question also to other panelists, do you think that the collaboration with other institutions would help somehow? Maybe not in terms of regulatory, because we know that here it's the question of the regulatory notified bodies that need to speed up or make some changes, yes? But do you think, Ferenc took the microphone, so I assume that he has something to say with regards to that. Is there something that we could boost and really improve this maturity of our ecosystem?
Absolutely, and actually I took the microphone to hand it over to Azim and maybe to Ines.
Exactly.
Because I believe that one of the big opportunities that this community can offer is to connect to the real big players of the ecosystem. And I'm really thankful, that Azim and Ines has accepted the invitation, because we have, and I think this is also good for startups. So there are many ways to enter to the market, but one way is collaborating with the giants who have really access to the market and all these kind of
and
things.
access to the money as well.
Exactly. And I think we are very thankful that we have partners who are open to collaborate, with many players in the region. So I would hand over the mic to Azim. Maybe you could mention, how G is doing it exactly, and maybe Ines can also comment later on. But I'm not you are the speaker.
Yes, so go ahead, Azim.
So maybe in general, I think collaboration in multiple levels for companies like GE Healthcare or more like diagnostic imaging companies is extremely important. So we mainly collaborate with public institutions, universal hospitals, either public or private. I think in certain countries there may not be too many private universal hospitals, but in some other countries there are. So I think one of the challenges is really finding a project which is of common interest to both sides, from the institution side. And also, when we start, let's say, joint projects in public institutions, of course, GE is quite dynamic. We develop a lot of projects. We focus on a lot of projects, but we also, as part of collaboration network and as part of consortium in different grant applications, I think funding is an important aspect of developing an idea into product. But we also develop with different startup companies based on their expertise. So there are different opportunities in that area. So I think IHI might be one of them, and EIT might be another opportunity.
Just to explain, because I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the acronym IHI, it's this Innovative Health Initiative. It's one of the European partnerships that was launched together with the Horizon Europe, and it's a continuation of Innovative Medicine initiative.
And I can really echo very well with all these questions about regulations. I mean, as a company like GE, we have regulatory managers, regulatory colleagues, and legal departments. So they spend quite a bit of time to understand the regulations and then to guide us how to navigate. Because I think, for example, I'm supporting Eastern Europe, Turkey, and some additional countries. But in general, we have EU regulations, but on top of that, each country may have their own regulations. So if we work with a country who is not a member of EU, then there are different regulations. So I can really understand, healthcare is tightly or very strictly regulated market, but still for innovation, things should be, I think, maybe more like expected outcome should be known in a shorter period of time.
But from your perspective, do you see these differences in the regulatory pathways between different countries, even when you look at your region?
Yes.
And does it give the advantage of some countries over the others?
Yeah, definitely. I think countries with more established, let's say, regulatory practices and more trust into the development, and if they are more like development friendly, so then I think the innovation can take place much better, because you create this ecosystem and you create opportunity to grow. Because in the case of Lucas' presentation, you develop a product and then you invest, but you need to really bring it into the market with the right players. But if it is taking too much time, then your investment, your capital is not going to last that long. So I think.
So if I could be more picky, if you had the chance or the opportunity to choose the country, would you choose Poland?
Eastern Europe is
or there
really,
is other that you would be more fan of?
Eastern Europe is really my region, and I'm working with not with all the countries, but with many different countries. But in general, I think Poland, Hungary, and Greece is one of the most active countries in my region in terms of research collaboration and development. But also, when you look at the Baltic countries, which is not really maybe directly part of Eastern Europe, but they are in the same region. I mean, countries like Estonia, I think they are really making a more startup-friendly or technology-friendly development. So I think we need to be cautious. We need to make sure that we have high standards for quality, but at the same time, I think there should be maybe guidance or support for talented companies or talented skill set to stay in Europe or in Poland, not move to different countries because of lack of difficulties. And then the ideas can come into the picture, and then that can really help benefit the development in a much better and much faster pace.
So maybe now I will ask one of the ladies that are connected with us. Can you hear us? Oh yes, it's good.
Yes.
Ines, because you already are also on the same side as Azim, working in the big company, dealing with public institutions in your work. Do you find this collaboration easy and helping to develop innovative products for Medtronic?
Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here. It's a pleasure to be here, even if online, which is a shame. So just to give you a bit of context of what we are doing here in my team, which is called Innova, and specifically in Medtronic Portugal. So this Innova team is an open innovation team that was created inside Medtronic Iberia some years ago. And for the last years, they have been working the concept of open innovation through collaboration with external entities, very much in the setting of European funding, EIT health funding, applying to projects together with hospitals, public hospitals, universities, startups, SMEs, and other players of the ecosystem. So what we have been doing here in Portugal for this year and a half is that, besides also bringing Medtronic's know-how and expertise to also European projects, namely with EIT Health, where we are part of several proposals and been participating. What we have been trying to do is take advantage or leverage some other innovation vehicles that namely the government has given to medical device companies. Okay, and for this year and a half, we have been working in this special framework of developing R&D and innovation projects. But inside this framework, we have to contemplate public hospitals, universities, SMEs, startups, and we have been building together innovation projects. For this year and a half, we have already 2 projects already ongoing. They are large projects, and we have 2 that are about to start very soon. They are very focused on the digital side because as an American and global medical device companies, we also have a lot of internal processes, and we cannot develop lightly several things, but we have been focusing a lot on digital health, okay? So the projects that we have been developing with the public hospitals are things related to, for instance, developing platforms to allow to manage the patient pathways inside the hospitals, or to allow the improvement of the clinical management of the diabetic patients, things like this. These are pain points of the hospital. These are needs that they indeed have. So their eagerness to participate in this project, every time we go they are our clients, right? Every time we go to our clients, to the doctors, and we come up with a project, they are eager to participate because at the end it will solve a need they have, an actual pain point. And this is one of Medtronic's, as a worldwide industry, is one of Medtronic's added value. Is we know what's happening all over the world inside the hospitals. We know the pains, we know the needs, and we know how to solve it. So how we have been working at an Iberian level, also now expanding worldwide. Our team is expanding inside Medtronic, but it's to basically identify the need, because we have access to the doctors, we have access to the hospital. We then scout for solutions, or internally or also externally, and we bring the entities that can provide components of this solution. So at the end, we are like dot connectors, and the hospitals are our partners.
They benefit from
very good.
They benefit from what you do, Ines, but where do you get the money from? Because it sounds really great.
There are several sources, okay? We use, as an open innovation team, we use a lot of European sources, okay?
You mean the European grants? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sorry?
So you mean European grants?
Yes.
Okay.
But then in each country, in each region, like for instance in Portugal, we have specific financial vehicles that we can use. Here I'm specifically referring to the special tax that the government has imposed to medical device companies, but to which we can deduce R&D expenses. But this here is specifically to Portugal, specifically with Portuguese entities, and to be used in the Portuguese setting. Of course, other countries might also have similar alternatives. We also apply to national funds that, for instance, come under the resilience plan of the European Fund. So
yes,
at the end,
we are waiting for this money as well.
But
Poland is waiting for this money, so we hope we'll get them soon.
So we have several, let's say, external sources of funding that we have been trying to take advantage of. And then, of course, each corporate for sure has their own, let's say, pocket of money that they can use in R&D. But so far in this open innovation team that I'm part of, we've been using mainly this innovation vehicle. And our partners have been looking at it with very good eyes, because the hospitals that we have been working with are also hospitals that are very active. Their majority of them are also EIT health partners, so they are very used to apply to these funds. So they are at some level sharing the risk with us. And so far, at least for these almost 2 years, we have been having really good, I've been working on establishing these solid relationships. And I believe more and more hospitals, they understand the added value that companies like Medtronic, HealthTech, they bring to this open innovation side, which is something that they usually are not used to, because they usually see us as a supplier, as a distributor. So it's also something that we have been working on, changing our image. Like, we are that, but we are also your open innovation partner. So please count with us for developing innovative projects.
So for time being, do you have the public partners only from Portugal, or you also search for partners all around Europe?
No, we search for partners all over Europe, and actually we have been in conversations with several Polish partners and startups. Depending on the funding vehicle, we have to check the partners. So for this specific tax thing, we can only work with Portuguese partners. For the European fundings, we work with partners from all over Europe, and of course that if you can leverage previous connections like I can, we have been involved in several EIT Health bootcamp programs. We are now participating also with EIT InnoStars in an European call. There are several Polish partners there and from all InnoStars regions. So depending on the vehicle, we have, let's say, our list of partners, but we are open to collaborate with everyone.
But actually that brings another puzzle to our decision. So when we see exactly that funding is one of the obstacles that we mentioned, but when we look at EIT, when we look at the resilience plan, when we look at this, some sources that are locally available, and we add other partnerships, I think that it gives more space for the developers. And I was wondering, Maria, maybe as you are the coordinator of another European partnerships, because we mentioned already IHI, we mentioned EIT. I think, maybe I'm wrong, that ERA for Health would be another source, not only for funding, but for this collaboration that brings innovations further. Is it your perspective similar in Spain, and also based on the partners that are involved in this partnership?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this panel discussion. Sorry for not being there. Yes, as coordinator of ERA for Health Partnership, I can also acknowledge that this partnership will provide a funding opportunity for fostering European research collaboration. We aim to launch different joint transnational calls. We have already launched 2 of them in this first year of the partnership, and more joint transnational calls will be following. Our priority areas are covered in our strategic research and innovation agenda, which is publicly available. But in sum up, we are focused on cardiovascular diseases, nutrition and healthy lifestyles, and also nanomedicine. But we aim also to launch in the future clinical studies initiated by investigators, calls, that will be focused on health technologies that can address European public health needs. The partnership is conformed by a consortia of different partners from different countries. Most of them are funding organizations, although not all of them are funders. Of course, there are a lot of InnoStars countries that are represented in our consortia. Just to mention, Poland is included, Romania, Hungary, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Slovakia, Lithuania and Latvia, Israel and Turkey. I think that are most representatives. Some of them may be in the future added as partners. For example, we have received expression of interest from Estonia to be integrated in the consortium in the future. So we mainly fund research consortia with transnational level. The different stakeholders that are able to be funded depends on the funders that participate in its call. But in principle, we can fund not only public institutions, but also private companies, if the funders allow, and also other stakeholders such as patient organizations, for example.
Yeah, it sounds very promising, I would say. But I was wondering, in terms of the partnership, because we have many of these different partnerships, I was wondering if the countries are still interested in joining this type of the collaborative initiatives. I was wondering, from your perspective, when you look at the Central European countries, are they like the drivers of the partnerships, or they are more like observers following others?
No, indeed, they are very active. Sometimes they lack human resources to be able to be more active. But I have to say that the funders, the funding commitments are really high from some countries, such as Poland, for example, in the calls. And the researchers are more and more participating in these joint international calls from those countries. We have a widening process that consists that a new partner from an underrepresented country can be incorporated in the research consortia that have already been created before the next step in the evaluation, the second step. And this widening process is very, very successful. We have added research partners from different countries, especially the countries in Eastern and Central Europe. But other countries from the InnoStar countries, I mean, they are really active from the beginning, and they have a great success rate. It's not publicly available, the evaluation of the first calls of our partnership, but we are directly related with the previous ERANET, such as Euronanomed or ERA-CVD. They were already very successful in these ERANETs, and they will be in the partnership. So I would not say that they are only observers; they are active partners.
So that means that maybe in the future we can be also like the creators of the calls. Would it be possible? I mean, this
yeah, of course. I mean, well, in fact, they can act as secretaries of the calls, who is the funders that are managing or at centralized level the call. But yeah, I'm not sure at national level, which is the extent of this kind of calls. I mean, for research funding, that I'm not sure. But as Ines mentioned, for example, Portugal is also very active at national level, but I'm not so sure for other countries. But at international level, I have to say that it's not the only partnership that they are involved. They are involved in most of them. So they
that
are
sounds
becoming more and more active partners in the European landscape.
But I think that also shows the increasing of this maturity, yes? If we start to create, not only follow the European rules, what are your impressions? Do you feel that Poland is one of the creators of this politics, Professor? Who wants to comment on that?
Yeah, here at this point, you know, since we are very big, I mean, the European Health Innovation Center is at the beginning of this path. So I believe that, you know, at this point, we do not feel it yet, okay? As mentioned here previously, yeah, ideas and possibilities and capabilities, I would say just colloquially say that, you know, it's not a problem. The problem is, as you mentioned, the potential for creating its own, our own, let's say, calls. Okay, the politics agendas and calls. In fact, just to stimulate other partners to just follow our path. Why? Because, you know, since we at a university we have a very good opportunity to just collaborate, and this is what we're doing, let's say, constantly. Since all research products are aimed for development of given products which are expected from the market to be launched, so that we have two components. The first one, which is closest to us, which is research, then the commercialization of that one, so it can be just expressed in terms of applying it on the market. And but the thing which is missing is that the special needs, the given direct needs, are needed to be satisfied with given calls. So, but I believe that, as I've said, you know, we are at a very early state of our development here in creating ecosystem, and we believe that, okay, the pan-European cooperation will be very beneficial for all of us.
Do you want to comment on that or add something from this perspective? As an EIT, you also create the agenda, yes? Somehow you can influence as a partners. I mean, the voice, voice of many is better heard than the voice of one institution, isn't it?
Definitely, yes. So I believe that that overall, the region, South and Eastern Europe is underrepresented in terms of voice. And obviously, if we work together, then we can improve on that. And one of the things that we are doing actively is to, as I said, organize consortiums for cause, not necessarily to tell what the cause would be, but to respond the cause. But I would highlight one topic that actually Azim already mentioned, and maybe he wants to comment later on that as well. This is this innovative health initiative. So this is very big money. So it's a billions of euro budget, and actually industry players are supposed to give the direction what the money is going to. And in our region, we not necessarily have the big industry players there, but we have, for instance, GE there. And the EIT Health is very actively working together with GE to create consortiums for those topics that GE is highlighting. There is 3 topics right now in the current call. And we are very, very open to continue that activity and support our partners like Medtronic and GE in terms of finding consortium partners. And we are talking about big money here, so this is, each project is in the range of 50 million euros, so these are serious projects where startups and universities can also participate.
From Medtronic point of view, are you also interested in IHI? Hello? I think Ines cannot hear us. Yes? I mean, for the IHI projects, is it Medtronic also the one of the companies looking for the public-private partnerships? And from your perspective, what is more obstacles that you come across when you collaborate with these public institutions? I mean, in terms of since you are focusing on these digital solutions, is it like this digital literacy of the doctors or the personnel? Is it one of the tricky parts that you have to deal with, or is it more the formal part that is more challenging?
So from a partnership point of view, Medtronic, Iberia, Portugal, it doesn't matter. We have been collaborating with several hospitals for years, okay, in not only in European setting, but others. And of course, that the hospitals that we collaborate with more are also the ones that have been in this ecosystem for longer. So obviously they have let's say digital literacy and appetite that are of course high. There are always, so we can talk about hospitals, but at the end it always comes to people. Of
Exactly.
course, there are sometimes teams or persons that are less digital, but I would say that from a generic point of view, usually they are very tech savvy and they are very interested, even if they are not the ones that are more expert on those, let's say on these technologies. They always bring someone from their teams that are, we call it the internal champions, right? And that are the people that will, one way or another, bring make it happen. So usually I don't see that as a problem, or I don't see that as a barrier, at least. I would say more the formal ones, the administrative ones, public procurement, legal, IP, ethics, data protection. Those are usually the barriers or the, let's say, the obstacles that make our project to take off a bit longer than they should. This being said, I don't think ever we got an obstacle, such an obstacle that a project didn't take off or didn't happen. Usually it delayed. It might delay months, sometimes 1 year or 2. But if the project is well developed, if it's a good project, if it's within interest of Medtronic's mission and strategy, if it's a real need, if it will have a real impact in the healthcare system and the healthcare professional workload or daily work patients, whatever. So if all interests are aligned, these are normal obstacles, and to be honest, it is what it is. We have to overcome them, and we end up fine-tuning these processes and making it more agile. So usually, yes, there are some literacy issues, but usually the hospitals that are interested in collaborating in this project that are also the ones that understand the value of participating on it. So usually that obstacle, if an obstacle is easily overcome, so more on the formal side, definitely.
But you mentioned also about the open innovations, yes? That this is one of the basis of Medtronic mode of action, so to say. And that is a question to also all our panelists. Do you feel that this open innovation stimulates these public-private partnerships, or there are some burdens that are difficult to be overcome on one of the sides? I mean, from the industrial part, or is it more from the public part? What are your feelings about it?
It depends. Here I also think that what influences a lot is the mechanism that we are using, the funding mechanism, because there are funding mechanisms that are more risk-prone and others that are less. And here the funding part also takes a big impact. Of course, that a company, a for-profit company like Industry R, when it comes to bringing co-funding to the table, I will be more prone to bring more co-funding so that it's proportional to the what I will take out of this project. So if it's something that is really, really open innovation in an earlier stage, where I'm still researching or just trying out to see what happens, of course that I will be less interested in bringing higher amounts of co-funding. So here I think it's a thin balance of the risk level, the TRL level of the project, and using the right mechanism to do the right innovation.
What are your comments? I'm asking now our panelists here in Zabrze. Do you have some feelings about it, or experience, good, bad, with regard to open innovation?
Well, maybe I will come back to the earlier question regarding cooperation between public and business partners. Because that's something that's resonating in me, and I wanted to come back for a second. I believe it's the next step. The first step is always the beginning, and because, well, we founded a company a few years ago, and it was very challenging to just start and creating idea for a startup. Well, we're not a startup, we've never been, but I see it's everywhere. The problem is not with the cooperation with the hospital, for instance, because, well, it's always challenging, especially in Poland. It requires time, it requires patience, but the moment when you are going to start collaborating with the hospital is the late stage. You're almost ready to I don't know, develop your product. You have to get money first, obviously, to improve your idea, to create a proof of concept, to go through the entire developing process from the very beginning. And when you will remove these obstacles, you will come to the moment when you will get the funding, then finding right partners, for instance, for hospitals or foreign companies to organize a consortium together with well, hospitals and other units, then you have a lot of people around you, and it's easier to do it. And everything you need is patience and a time, and obviously community, because organizing a place where people searching for such way of developing their projects, their companies, they need networking. You know, they need to meet each other, and that's the biggest value of every possible meeting, event. Even working on LinkedIn and writing content is a very, very good idea to, you know, to meet with people with similar approach, similar mindset, interests, and everything. And that's the way how the partnerships will develop in the future. But that's the late stage, and the biggest challenge is still the starting point and come to this late, how to overcome the obstacles and come to the late stage. That's something that
valley of death. I would.
That's something like this. The valley of death at the very beginning, and you have a lot on your mind during the initiating a startup, because you're not only focusing on your technology, your idea, your everything around it. No, you're learning a lot of things that you must understand, like how to run a business, because you are a scientist, for instance, and you need to learn how to work with people, how to manage people, and you're just a scientist focusing, for instance, on biomaterials, and that's something totally new for you.
But actually it sounds like, that's why I really was fan of EIT education programs, yes, because we are talking about supporting startups, but maybe for many of you, it's not clear what EIT is doing, yes, because it's not only giving money per se, but it's like the whole work that is like beyond this this money, yeah? It's not only funding that comes to your account, but it's also education, the mentoring, and all other stuffs, yes? Ferenc, if you could comment on this,
definitely, yes.
Activities that are provided to the startups or researchers.
Thank you. Yes. So what we try to do is exactly to make this community, or build this community, or we talk about open innovation, which is by definition that different players are working together in order to bring some tangible results. If I want to summarize, as I mentioned, especially in InnoSARS in this region, I think we have many innovators who have the ability, the energy to show up, and I think we bring them a higher probability to be successful by connecting them to the right resources, the right people, and also to give them more visibility and also trust. So as we discussed, the ones who are, let's say, the incumbents of the system, like the big companies whose representative here, or who are allocating the money, they have limited energy to deal with different players. So you need a trusted environment where you can pick somebody from. I'm very curious if it's as is your opinion as well, but Azim, sorry. So it's your opinion as well, but I think we can give the credibility of our members that this is a curated team. What is coming in makes sense. As you said, there is an education, there is a culture, as you mentioned. So I think this is kind of mission that we try to fulfill.
Thank you, Azim. Would you like to comment on this open innovation and also this trust?
Yeah, I think open innovation, in my opinion, can be very fruitful for both sides. From the public institution side, they have a vast amount of data, clinical expertise, and also, they may be, of course, have a better chance to partner with the industrial or private company to apply for more grant applications or funding. And from the industry side, I think they have a great expertise of know-how to bring an idea from research idea into the product. And they know the regulations, they know all the steps. So these are very important. But I think we need to also mention about the potential pitfalls. The potential pitfalls are when you develop something, the topic should be mutually interested to both sides. So I think you need to understand the focus areas, the directions of each institution, and then you need to really find the common ground, which is going to be mutually beneficial. And the second one, if it is an open innovation, who is bringing the idea on the table and who is executing on what, should be well defined so that we know the IP rights, and that will not be really a roadblocker in the future steps. But I think once we really get these parts, and of course the private institution should give the credibility or maybe confidence that they will protect the data safety and confidentiality is utmost importance. So, but I think that also requires a certain level of trust between different institutions. But in that context, I really find it very useful to work with institutions like EIT or IHI, who is really bringing quite a diverse amount of diverse players from the industry. Like, for example, with EIT Health, we had a grant, and we have been working with different institutions in UK, Netherlands, in Hungary. And with IHI, we also received another grant, and there are like 26 partners. So, I mean, with a common, let's say, agency, you can really have more streamlined approach. So you can really, instead of like one-on-one approach, you can really create the trust and the infrastructure much better. So I think that may help quite a bit.
And if I also follow on what you said, that once you have this team and you have the idea, basically you can guide this or go with this idea through different funding schemes, yes? Because and here I had a question to Christina, actually. From your perspective, for ERA for Health, what is the technological readiness that is like obligatory in those projects? Do you have like really strict rules that you have to have TLR at the level of minimum 5, 6, or is it like you can also come with proof of concept and get the funding for your idea?
Yeah, in fact, it depends on the type of call, the disease field that we are covering. For example, the nanomedicine field is with the TRL levels higher normally, the type of projects compared, for example, with the nutrition ones.
Okay.
But it depends also on the rules of its funders. Each funder that participates in the international call can decide their eligibility institutions for receiving the funding, but also the tier levels that they want to fund. Some of the funders are more focused on basic research, others are more focused on innovative research, so with tier level higher. So it depends. It depends on the type of call and the type of funder. I would like to also to mention, you were talking about the collaboration among different stakeholders before, not only in research, but also in innovation calls. And I would like just to mention that the Polish funding organization and NCBR developed recently a partnering tool we are using for our calls, but it's not only for our calls. It's they develop, I think, for also at national level, I suppose, but also for other transnational consortia. So I just put the link in the chat. Maybe Joanna can.
You mean Pathfinder, yes?
Send you.
Pathfinder?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Pathfinder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I think that it can be really useful for
yes,
establishing
indeed.
this consortia, because I think that sometimes the right partners are not aware of what's going on, especially in the clinical side. Maybe the enterprises you're more aware, but clinicians or scientists can have an added value to this innovative consortia, but they are not so aware of establishing this type of collaborations.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Christina, for mentioning that, because we are talking about the trust, different level of the advancement of our ideas, and finding the partners. And this is one is EIT, but of course, like Christina mentioned, there are also other tools, so to say, that we can search for partners. And Pathfinder, it's one of the portals that was arranged by NCBR to search for the partners in this project. Since we are slowly going to the end of our discussion, just to summarize what I, let's say, noted down, let's say, in my head, it's for sure one is this, that Poland is not so bad, apparently, for the fundings, although when you talk to Polish people, you sometimes may have the impression that we complain a lot, but today we had the examples that it's not so bad as you may think. So there is a space for innovation in Poland. We already have some good starting point for innovators. We know that the collaboration is one of the strongest attitudes that helps the innovation to move forward. And we know how to improve this collaboration, because we see and we hear the good examples of the public and private institutions that can collaborate and know how to do and are willing to and are open to the new ideas, also via open innovations. And just to have the last thought of today's discussion, what would be your, I don't know, take-home message or advice for, because I see also the students here, so maybe for the young entrepreneurs or researchers where to move in terms of transforming the healthcare and going from the vision to action? What should be their action?
Maybe I can make a quick comment. I mean, for example, as part of EIT, HealthTech, the Budapest, Hungarian office was set up, and then they were executing. I participated and presented in a few calls like Hello AI. So I think that was mainly open to university students with very different backgrounds, from economy, from social science, from computer engineering. So I think that was also giving them opportunity to understand the AI in general, but also the role of AI in medical technology or healthcare technology. So I think in that sense, we really need to stimulate the innovation and the startup, let's say, spirit in the students. I think starting from university, whenever they start the university on the third year or fourth year. So I think that is very important. And I think the private companies has a significant role to play here as part of education, but also like stimulate the innovation. But of course, from the government level, like countries like France, private companies can sponsor a student for PhD, and then they can get significant tax benefit. So I think probably Portugal has some special regulations like that, and this should be really more mainstream. But I think for the students, they should be open to ideas and start from a point, and then maybe when they try, they will have access to technology and maybe seed funding to start their dream.
Thank you. And other comments?
Okay. Thank you. The message I would like to pass on to absorb is that it's really worth networking. Because I believe that the first step here is, as we mentioned, the potential in every area is really huge. It's regardless the part we are dealing with, rather the potential that we can learn from somebody else. And this is something that I'm personally quite happy about, that we have such honorable guests and we can just cooperate, because we've got what's on our side. I mean, let's say the university, the potential, the scientific background. But of course, something that is missing, as mentioned here, we do not have any, let's say, business experience. We do not know about the possibilities, about the cooperation. For sure, these are general rules, let's say. This is just a theoretical knowledge everybody knows. But the truth is that via this particular personal meetings, I believe that, some small things can be just developed in terms for something bigger. So according to me, that is something worth doing.
Thank you. And Łukasz, if you could comment.
Well, I was starting a company 8 years ago with nothing, absolutely nothing. And now we have 50 people. And it started from just idea and lots of meetings, a lot of talking with many people and trying to shape my idea into something. And it was very exhausting and challenging. And things that, obviously, the first thing is networking as the most important element, as already said. But from my perspective, what is very important is patience. Patience and determination, because you just need to spend a lot of time on trying to understand what are you doing right and wrong, and that's the first thing. And the second, you can compare creating a company, finding a right people and right idea, like throwing a coin. And you have maybe not 50%, you have a lot less. But by taking one shot with the coin, you'll never win. You have to try and try and try. And if you have 1% for winning, how to do it? Do it 100 times. Yeah, and that's something which is helping, and that's something that I can suggest for everyone who's planning to create their own startup or company or something. And the rest are important, but you have to be patient and determined to do something and try to do it.
Thank you, Łukasz, for those words. And Ines or Christina, would you like to add some take-home message for our audience from today's discussion?
Yes, Ines, if you want first. Okay. Well, I will really encourage, from the founder's perspective, I will really encourage all the entrepreneurs and researchers to try to discover all the funding that is available. As Ines said, not only the co-funded partnerships, but also at European level or at national level, regional level, there are a lot of sources of funding. And I will really encourage all of them to participate in the calls, not to pose a barrier themselves, because we are encouraging transnational and collaborative and multidisciplinary research, and everyone has its place. I will really encourage. I have seen that in the Spanish case, Spanish participants have increased really high their success rate, and it's because they have lost the fear to participate. The first step is to participate.
Indeed, I think that this is the good advice for Polish scientists, that make them open to the failure, because as you said, if you throw 100 times, finally you will get one. And Ines?
And talk, and I mean, I think everyone already said the important things, but talk with people who already did it, because they're, in all of our countries, more or less developed in terms of innovation. We already have success, but also failure cases in all the countries. And in EIT Health, they gather everyone there. So talk with the people who already did it, because they at least they already did it once or twice. So and these people are willing to share more than people would think. So get yourself a mentor, because they are out there and super willing to help.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Friends, do you want to summarize with one sentence, or we go for a coffee break? So once again,
perfect. Thank you.
I wanted to thank you all for this 1 hour and a half. I would like to thank all panelists for the discussion, and please feel free to go for a coffee if you need some energy after our discussion. And of course, our panelists are also on the coffee break, so feel free to approach and continue the discussion.
Yeah, you can always approach us if you have any questions.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And if you want to network or have the meeting, for sure we are co-organizing another one with EIT Health. It's on the 21st and 22nd of November in Warsaw. Thank you, parents. In Warsaw, it's Horizon for Poland, and there you will have the opportunity to meet our partners from the EIT network, the Polish and foreign companies and research institutions that are open to matchmaking and looking for the partners for the Horizon Europe projects. So once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.